The first step we're going to take in cutting our bustier, our shoulder bustier, is to get our basic body's measurements, which is our waist, under bust, and chest line. So I have a tutorial on how to get all this on my channel. You can just go back and check. Then next, you're going to get your midpoint, your bust to bust measurement, which is 4 inches for this measurement I'm using. Yours can be 4.5, which is 9 inches, or 5 inches. So I'm using 4 inches. You just have to take it from the waist to the chest line, then connect them together. Then you're going to go to the upper part for our shoulder. So you're going to measure your shoulder divided by 2. I'm using 14 for this tutorial, so that's 7 inches. So you just measure your 1 inch down for slanting. So when you get to this point, you're not going to connect them together yet because we're still going to add allowance to our shoulder. So I just took my neckline measurement. I'm going to be using a round neck, so which is 3 by 3. Then you connect them together. You can use a v-neck if you want. This is the point you're going to use any kind of neckline you want. So you're not going to connect the shoulder yet. So let's just take our bustier measurements. So on this side, I'll be using 2 inches. 2 inches on this side. Then on the under bust, also 2 inches. You connect them together. If you are doing for a bigger bust, you can use 2.5 inches, but this is a small bust, so I'm using 2 inches. Then our normal going down by 1 inch, go down by 1 inch. Then you make a curve from that point to the 1 inch you just took now. So you should be looking like this. You can see your bust is already forming a little. So the next thing you're going to do is to go to this shoulder part that is remaining. Let's just make a slant just for illustration sake. So you get the midpoint. The midpoint here is 2 inches because it's 4 divided by 2, that's 2 inches. You just connect. Now we're just going to take the dart on the shoulder because it's our shoulder dart. Normally I'm going to take from the, if it was a princess dart, we're going to take from the armhole, but now it is the shoulder dart. So when you get the midpoint, which is 2 inches, you just roll it down to this chest line. So the dart at this side is not meant to be too much, so just take 0.5 at the middle side. Then at this other side is where we're going to get our bust, side bust. So you can take 1 inch or 1.5, depends on the size of the bust, but this is a small size, so I'm just taking 1 inch at one side and 0.5 on the other side. So now if you calculate your dart together, you add your 0.5 for your arm joining, for your joining of the sleeve. So just connect your darts to the chest line like this. Now we've done our darts for the chest line. This is how our bustier is looking like already. So you measure your dart. I have 1.5 inches. You have to replace it back. You're going to replace that 1.5 back because you borrowed it, so you have to return it back so it won't destroy your calculations. So now this is the reason why we did not measure our armhole the other time. It is now you're going to measure your armhole because you are going to cut out the dart. You're going to cut that out of it. So after measuring your 0.5, your 1 inch is going to be 1.5 inches. Then you return it back plus 0.5 for your sleeve joining. So now I just measure the length plus the allowance and everything. You measure it down also, then you connect to get your armhole curve like this. So now I'm going to take our measurements, our side measurements. It is your princess that is going to come that way, but it is our shoulder that bustier. So now just take our measurements, our waist measurement divided by 4 plus the 2 inches we took out for that. You're going to replace it back so it will not destroy your final measurement. So after replacing your 2 inches, you add your sewing allowance, which is 1 point. I'm using 1.5. You can use 2 inches. Add your sewing allowance back plus your dart allowance back. The same thing on your under bust. Take your under bust divided by 4 plus your dart 2 inches plus sewing allowance 1.5. Now for the bust, you take your bust measurement divided by 4. Bust measurement divided by 4 plus the 1.5 inches we took for our dart up. You return it back 1.5 plus our 1.5 for sewing allowance. So now you just connect them together like this. So this is basically all we need for our shoulder dart. It is very easy and simple. So because it's your front piece, you just take 0.5 which we take for our normal basic bodice measurement. I have a video on my page on how to cut a basic bodice, how to cut a princess dart, bustier, and every other tutorial you might want to learn. Please go through my page and watch other videos. I'm going to add the cards to this video also. So this is everything we need to know on how to cut our shoulder dart bustier. So this is just how it's going to look like. It is meant to look like. Now I'm just trying to cut it out, but I won't be cutting the dart out yet. I want to use the front piece to mark the back piece. So that's what I'll be doing now. So I've marked it out already and I placed the front piece aside. So you just connect the dot, the under bust, the waist, and everything together. Now I'm taking my bust to bust measurement 4 inches, connecting it together to take my back dart. So I'm taking 0.5 at each side of the waist bust point, connecting my darts like this. You can divide the chest line and the upper piece if you want. That's very fine, but I'm not just doing mine like that. So just connect the back piece doesn't really have any difference or any extra problem. Just take your zip allowance out, then you connect. So now I'm just taking my waist measurement plus my 1 inch allowance, my 1 inch dart and 1.5 allowance, then the bust measurement plus my allowance, then you connect them together, then you just cut it out. But then again, the back, I want to make this curved opening that we make at the back. We're going to cut it together. So just to explain, I probably drop a video on how to cut that separately if you're adding to your yoke as your yoke. So you just measure this 1.5 inches down. You can make it 1 inch, 3 inches to make it, maybe put button or something. You can measure 3 inches before your dart or after your dart, anyhow how big you want the opening to be, like that's very fine. So you just connect like this and you're all set. Then you cut it out like this. This is the part I'm saying you can cut out the yoke, the back yoke. That is very alright. So this is how the back is going to look like. And my front now, I want to cut out the dart. So we just trace it out like this. Cut out our dart neatly. So this is how our shoulder dart should look like. I'm just trying to label it, the center front and the side front. So I'm trying to make a notch. So when I cut to my fabric, I know where I am going to insert them to each other, how I'm going to insert them. So you can see the shoulder now. This is the reason why we added our dart allowance back, or else the shoulder won't be the same.